Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to Production Modeling Corporation's webinar presentation. Today's topic is kitting in lean manufacturing environments. Our presenter is Bob, our Director of Industrial Engineering at PMC. Please note that your microphones have been muted to avoid disruptions during the presentation as it is being recorded. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. There will be a live Q&A at the end of the presentation where we'll be able to answer your questions. If you have any issues with sound or visual errors, please also use the Q&A button, and I'll do my best to assist you as the presentation moves forward. Again, the webinar is being recorded, so if you miss anything, don't worry. It will be uploaded to YouTube, and we will send it to you after the webinar has concluded. So with that, Bob, please introduce today's topic.
Thanks, Veronica. As Veronica stated, today we'll be talking about kitting in lean manufacturing environment. I'm Bob Theut, Director of Industrial Engineering at PMC. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Before we get into the presentation, I want to talk a little bit about PMC. Here at PMC, we've been in operations since 1979. We've done well over 7,000 projects with well over 700 clients. We're a worldwide company with 150 diverse employees. We are also Autodesk Solutions partner. At the bottom of the screen, you can see just a few of some of our larger customers. As we stated before, there's well over 700 customers. PMC has several areas of core expertise, from reality capture, industrial engineering, simulation modeling. We also have a safety and quality division, geospatial services, jig and fixture design, and also steel detailing. I'll give you just a second to take a look at the screen. If you have a need for any of these services at any time, please feel free to contact me directly or anybody at PMC. So as we stated, today we're going to be talking about kitting. And let's just start out with a little bit of basic information. What is kitting? Well, kitting is a process used in manufacturing to reduce line side complexity, material handling, equipment costs, and pick zone obstructions. Kitting can be performed either from a specific cell away from the assembly line, directly from the stores, or even from the supplier, which is a way that I recommend. Kitting can be defined as the process of delivering all required parts or components for an assembly of a specific section of the final product. There's a lot of argument, a lot of talk in the industry about kitting. When should you use kitting? Should it even be used at all? Is it considered a lean practice? Is it not considered a lean practice? There's a lot of argument out there. Well, I'm not here to tell you how to run your operation, to tell you that it's lean or it's not lean. But in my opinion, used right, it's a very lean practice, and it should be used whenever it's justified. So you should only use kitting when you justify it. If the business case is not there, don't just kit because you think it's a good idea. Kitting should be at least considered whenever one or more of the following conditions apply. We have several small components that are needed to build one complete portion of an overall assembly, such as with seal kits within a cylinder, or ring kits for a piston, or even an antenna assembly on a car. Kitting should be used when a particular component is sequenced due to slight variances in specifications, such as color, type, or model. Now, that being said, kitting and sequencing are two very different functions and should not be mixed up. However, oftentimes you will kit to a sequence area to bring it to the final assembly. It's important to note that sequencing requires careful planning and strict adherence to the procedures set in place for control. Sequencing is not going to be covered in this presentation, but I just wanted to bring up the fact that you can't kit to sequence. You want to start by really looking at your kit and setting up a kit. Setting up the kit requires a lot of planning and a fair amount of research. You need to start by forming a kitting team. You need to look at possible kitting assemblies. You need to set up a space away from the assembly line to set up kitting cells. You need to have a team meeting area so the team can get together on a regular basis and discuss the kit, discuss the different functions of it. And you need to set up regular meeting dates and times, and they must be adhered to. The members of the kitting team will start with the materials engineer. The materials engineer will normally be the project manager for the kitting setup. He puts together the proper business case study to justify the need for the kitting. They're responsible for setting up all the meetings. They work with the plant management to ensure all the team members can allot time to do the kitting meetings and to do the parts of the kit. They track the budget. They have the overall responsibility for the final outcome and the success of the kit. You also want to have a member from the materials team, not just the materials manager. The materials team member will be either the operator setting up the kits, picking the parts, or a designated representative, maybe a team leader. This person ensures that the picking process is efficient and within the union guidelines when applicable. They help ensure the buy-in from the material team and the operators. They provide feedback on the ability of the team to complete the task in the allotted cycle time. They're able to give a lot of best practices from past kits. So you want to pretty much have an experienced person from the materials team doing this, or at least a person who has the contacts that they can get this information. They assist in the flow of the kitting, and they'll test the cell and recommend changes prior to putting the cell into production. You also want to have a person from the production team. The production team member will be either the operator using the kits at the assembly line, or designated representative once again, such as a team leader. Production team member will provide feedback on the usability of the kit. Sometimes when a kit does get to the line and the operator goes to utilize the kit in different parts within it, they'll find that the kit was either set up wrong, the parts may be coming out incorrectly, could be that the wrong parts are even in there for that particular sequence of the parts. They recommend removal of the parts that are contained within the kit or addition of the parts. They provide input to the organization of the kit, how it's presented to the line. They help ensure the buy-in from the production team members, and that's important. You want the entire team to buy into the kit and to how it's going to work. Test the kit to ensure the cycle time can be met also. Remember, a big part of why you're kitting is to make cycle time on line side. You want to have an equipment engineer. The equipment engineer will be responsible for the acquisition of all the equipment required to set up and utilize the kit efficiently and effectively. The equipment engineer will work with the suppliers to create a kit delivery method. They'll create the kitting box, kitting container, or the kitting rack. They'll test the kit delivery methods to ensure it's properly set up in the most efficient manner, ensuring the parts are safe and secure. A lot of times you'll set up a kit and there might be surfaces. So you really need to ensure that the manner of delivery is safe and that you're not going to scratch these surfaces. You want to have a as we talked before, the equipment engineer has additional responsibilities such as acquire the required equipment to set up the cell. So maybe the racks or indexers or pick lights or containers. They set up the area within the kitting cell where it will be stationed to ensure the area is secure, to ensure it's clearly marked. They put racks and indexers and pick lights up, as we just said. They work with safety to ensure that each piece of equipment is both within the safety guidelines and is ergonomically correct, and it provides the team with input on the cost and the feasibility of the required equipment. Sometimes these equipment will cost so much that it'll make the kitting just not a good idea. It'll blow away your business case. You also need to have safety and ergonomics, or maybe in your situation, it's one and the same. The safety of the ergonomics representative is a vital part of the team, and they need to be part of the final sign-off. They may not go to every meeting, and they may not be part of the overall design. However, safety is a part of every kit setup. So they do have a lot of good best practices, and they have a lot of information to provide. So you want to really look at what they know and how they know it. This ensures the safety and delivery of the flow of the path and marketplace. So you want to make sure that person is a major part of your team. You're also going to have the materials manager. The materials manager will have the overall approval of the kitting cell. You're going to recommend to the team the parts that should be put into a kit. They assign part numbers of the kit. So the kit itself will have a separate part number. You ensure the management systems such as Kanban is updated to support the new kitting information. They require plant management approval. They remove roadblocks and barriers, so you're going to run into many of them. And they provide the best practice information and historical data. Now, the materials manager is another person who may not be at every meeting. However, they're an essential part of this overall process and need to be kept up with all the notes on a daily basis. So now let's talk about the kitting cell. So kitting cells are essential to have an effective kitting process. Kitting cells may be set up in the marketplace, in the assembly area near the point of use, and at times delivered from a supplier. You may even have certain kits that are set up online. Kitting cells should be used only for kitting purposes of the assigned parts, regardless of location. So once these cells are set up, they should not be used to store something or to put park lift trucks or to park equipment within. They're only going to be used for kitting purposes. The kitting cell will need to be clearly marked and identified within the plant layout also. There should be no power equipment within a kitting cell. Only essential personnel should be allowed in the kitting cell to minimize traffic, confusion, and the possibility of parts getting out of sequence. Since kitting cell operators are on their feet all day, ergonomic flooring should be used to minimize fatigue, helping to ensure operator efficiencies. So we talked about staffing the kitting team. We also need to staff a kitting cell. So kitting is primarily a materials operation, so the cell will more than likely need to be staffed by the materials group. The head count of the cell should only be high enough to properly and effectively maintain cycle time. If the cell is located in the stores or the marketplace, it is possible that currently assigned staff may be able to do the kitting, picking and issuing the parts. The cell is set up online or elsewhere within the plant. The materials group will need to staff the cell. Since kitting saves time and space on the assembly line, it is possible that production may provide the materials group with the personnel rather than hiring additional heads. And that's where you begin to make this more of a lean function. The kitting employees will need to be properly trained on computer usage, pick and sequence, and problem identification issues. Kitting containers are a major part of kitting cells, as we talked about before. If you're looking at A surfaces, the containers need to be secure and safe. If you're looking at surfaces that aren't as important to be scratched, they can be more piled in an order. If they need to be separate cubbies, as you can see down on the bottom left, they can be set up that way, or at times they just need to be put onto racks and rolled right up to the station. Kitting containers can come in many shapes, forms, and sizes. The container needs to be made to complement the packaging, delivery, and the point of use. So you don't want to carry a little plastic tote, such as the one you see on the bottom left on the front of a fork truck. And at the same time, you don't want to be pushing a heavy rack, such as the one you see in the middle, by hand. Delivery points should be limited to a maximum of 2 point of use locations, the kitting cell and the assembly line. You don't want to be delivering kits all over the facility. Once it leaves the kitting cell, it needs to go to its point of use. Most of the times that point of use is the assembly line. We did talk about sometimes the kitting may go to a sub-assembly or it may go to a sequence, but that is the point of use. It needs to go to the final point of use. Delivering to the kitting may be as simple as picking up in the marketplace and setting up the kit at the pick point. Often the kitting cell is located within the plant area near the assembly line, which require the use of motor power equipment or flow racks, containers, and other traditional material delivery methods. Delivering to the kitting cell should be a part of the normal flow of the route of delivery drivers. So we don't want to set up special routes, is what we're trying to say. We don't want to add additional routing to the facility. When you're working with the kitting, it does require training. It's not just as simple as walk in and begin to work. Training is essential to have an effective kitting operation. Each operator involved in the kit in any way will require thorough training on each step. A formal hands-on training course will need to be set up. Class may be extensive and it may take several hours or days. Sometimes a class may only take a few minutes. It just depends on the complexity of the kitting. SOP should be created and posted at each location involved with the kitting process. The SOP will need to be created by the kitting team and approved by management. The SOP should contain pictures and a step-by-step written process. Operator feedback will be needed to improve the training and the kitting procedures. Regular follow-up and flexibility will be required for improvements. Oftentimes we'll set up kits, and as the kit matures and as time goes on, the whole kit will just completely change because we'll find that we have a better way of doing it. And that's fine. And that's really what you want to do. There's many different types of kitting cells. There's small ones, there's big ones, there's cells in the middle of the plant. There's cells set up just in special areas where they have whole kitting areas. They have cells that are actually set up on line side, maybe set up on a hanger. And that's the entire webinar. This webinar wasn't meant to allow you to go through and completely set up your own kitting. It wasn't a training process, but it was a good guideline to get you going. PMC is here to help you, and we can help you set up your kits, and we can even work with you to do a little more training if that's what you like. Today, we kind of talked about what kitting is, the differences between the kittings and subassemblies and sequencing, and when a kitting should be utilized. We talked about the kitting team, talked about setting up the kitting cells, staffing the kitting cells, talked about kitting containers, delivery methods, training, and we also looked at some sample pictures. Now I'd like to open up the floor to anybody who may have some questions. Veronica, did any questions come in?
They sure did, Bob. Again, if you guys have any questions, please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. But some of the questions we did get. First one is, how do you decide what parts should be kitted?
Well, it's kind of like we talked about. You don't want to just pick parts. You don't want to just say, let's do a kitting cell. The business case has got to be there. So you want to start by setting up your assembly line, and then looking at your assembly line and seeing what areas are extremely congested and where you need more room, and begin to remove those parts off the assembly line by setting up kits, either offline or from the manufacturer or wherever they can be set up. This should reduce the complexity of the line side, and it should ease up the work on the operator at the line side at the finished product. Also, you want to look at cycle times. If we're not making our cycle time because of the quantity of parts on that particular cell, that's another good opportunity when you may want to say, is kitting applicable? No matter when you decide what you decide, you just need to make sure that your case study justifies it and that what you're going to do will work and will make cycle time. Hope that answers your question.
Okay. Another question that we just got, if the floor space isn't available and you can't kit line side, is there another option?
Well, there are several options. I mean, like we talked about, you can do kitting in the warehouse. You can do kitting in the back of a trailer, and you can do kitting in a lot of different places. As I kind of stated before, in my opinion, it's always best to do kitting offsite from your suppliers. Allow your suppliers to kit your parts if you can. If they can kit the parts and deliver kits to you, then you can deliver straight to the point of use. That takes out a lot of complexity from the system, takes out a lot of real estate that you don't need to give up. It also takes out a lot of labor that you don't need to put onto the kitting cell. Yeah.
Okay. And I only see one other question that's left. How many parts should be in a kit?
As many parts as you need, as many parts as you can justify, as many parts as you want. You want to reduce the complexity of line side, and you need to ensure that you can make your cell time. You need to ensure that that time can be made with your kit. If your kit doesn't help with that in any way whatsoever, then you need to look, do I have the right parts? Do I have the proper quantity of parts? Also, you need to look at how big your kit is. When you deliver your kit to line side, it's going to take up space. So you need to have a little bit of space for that kit. And if you put too many parts on it, the kit may be too large and it may no longer be effective on line side. So a lot of variables go into that, but primarily it'll be your business case. My email address right here, and I would be happy to work with you to set up your kits, or to kind of coach you through it, or to just talk to you about it, whatever you prefer. If you send me an email right here, I'll reply back with my phone number and whatever other information you'd like to have, and we can meet personally or we can meet on the web. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time today. Thank you for joining us, and please, by all means, feel free to contact me with any of your industrial engineering needs.
Okay, thanks everyone.